No, don't open a sneaker store. I have lost $20,000 at my other sneaker store location.
So do you regret opening the stores?
This is Bonnie. He owns a sneaker store that has made him over $500,000 in the last 3 years. And unlike many of the rich kids you see on the internet,
I come from a family who was sleeping on the floor and now sleeping on the bed.
his journey started with cleaning toilets in New Zealand.
So I was working for the convenience store, delivering newspapers and also cleaning commercial properties.
Despite the downturn of the sneaker reselling industry, he still manages to make $100,000 a year by selling clothing in his sneaker store.
The margins at the clothing.
Today, I want to find out how.
What's up, Bonnie? How we doing, brother?
Good, how you doing?
Good to see you. This is an impressive space. How much profit are you making here every month?
Around like $18,000 to $20,000.
$18,000 to $20,000 a month.
Correct.
What do we have over here?
We got different type of shoes here. Dunks, Jordan 1 lows.
Bonnie, I'm looking at these prices. $100 for a White Gum SB. How are you making any money on this?
I'm making like 10, 20 bucks per pair. But of course, I have this here. One of the reasons being is that if the customer walks through the door, right, the first thing they do is pick up a shoe and look at the price. And now they look at, oh, $100, $120. So automatically they think like the store has great prices.
So it's like the grocery stores, the milk and the eggs, the lost leader. I got you. Okay, cool. So how did you actually get started in sneakers? Have you always been into shoes?
No, I started back in 2020. It's a funny story. I bumped into an 11-year-old kid at Foot Locker who was buying Jordan 1 low coat purple. And he was 11 years old, so of course I'm pretty sure he couldn't fit a size 12. So I asked him out of curiosity. He said, I'm gonna go sell it for $20 more than what I bought it for. And that triggered something in my head. I'm like, oh, that's a good way of making money, you know?
You were like, if this 11-year-old kid can, then so can I.
Exactly. So what I did was I started looking for all the Jordan 1s, Jordan mids, or whatever that is on StockX, GOAT. I kept collecting all the sneakers and then started connecting with the customers at the liquor store.
I want to hear more about that in a sec, but I do want to run through these real quick. You said you're making like 20 bucks on this. You're buying it for 80, I'm assuming?
So again, yes, but again, margin wise, that's not where the margin's at. The margin's at the clothing.
The clothing?
Correct.
Okay, let's go take a look at some of this clothing. And actually, as we're going over here, I'm curious, you said you weren't into shoes at all. What were you doing before this?
I was working at the liquor store.
The liquor store?
For almost 5-6 years. I just stopped working at the liquor store, family liquor store, sometime last year and became full-time sneaker store owner.
Got it. And so, did you enjoy the liquor store? Tell me more about that.
So I love connecting with people and also I love customer service. So I enjoyed my whole time being there. And also learning about customer is my passion. What they want, what they like. So again, what I do is, depending on what you like, I'm gonna sell you the product.
Got it.
And I'm pretty sure I will not take no for an answer.
Got it. Okay, now let's get into some of this clothing. What do we have down here?
That's a Kid Collab tee.
Cool. What other brands do you stock in here?
We have Essential, Bathing Ape, Hellstar, Chrome Heart, Spider, and also other local brands.
So out of all these brands, what do you think is the best selling item?
Right now, at this moment, I sell a lot of Essentials, Denim Tears, Hellstar, and purple jeans.
Okay, let's take a look at some of this stuff. And as we're walking over here, you said you were doing the liquor store for 7 years. What were you doing before that?
I was in New Zealand for almost 7 years.
You were in New Zealand?
Correct. I left India when I was 17.
Okay, wait. I want to hear more about that in a sec, but let's first hit the Spider. You said this is some of the best selling items? Denim Tears, Hellstar, Spider.
Correct.
To the viewer, I'm sure they're looking at this. $360 for a hoodie. People are paying this?
Yes, they are, because again, all the online apps like StockX, Network, whatnot, GOAT, they are selling fakes.
They're selling fakes?
Yes, a lot more fakes, I would say.
Okay, and so people are coming to you because you're the real stuff.
Yes.
So if it's so hard to find the real stuff, where are you buying it?
Through resellers who are running bots.
Okay, so the resellers, they're botting the sites from the retailers.
Correct.
And they're coming and selling it to you, and you sell it to the end consumer.
Yes, and they also provide all the receipts to me.
Got it. Okay, so you only buy some of the stuff that has receipts.
Correct.
And I'm looking at this case over here. You sell cologne as well?
Yes, I do.
Why do you sell cologne? I mean, it seems a little bit out of place now.
I don't think so. It goes handy.
Yeah?
You buy sneakers, you buy jeans, you buy shirt, a hoodie, and something that smells good too.
Look good, smell good, feel good?
Exactly, you know.
Whole package, got it. And how much of the cologne do you actually sell?
I would say around like 10 to 15 every month. It's not something we sell too often, but when we do sell, we make over 70 to 80% margin on that.
Got it. And where are you getting this stuff from?
I have people who just walk in here and sell me colognes. Just like earlier, there was a guy who was talking about a lot of colognes.
Yeah, cool. And so in comparison to the cologne, I mean, how many pieces of clothing are you selling every month?
A lot of pieces. Over 200 pieces of clothing every month.
A month?
Correct.
Wow. And what are the margins on something like this? I mean, you're selling it for $340, $360, the hoodies? What are you paying?
Yes, so I pay around like $240
Okay.
or $250 on average.
Wow.
So there's like $80 to $90 to $100 to make a per hoodie.
Got it. So better margins than some of these sneakers over here.
Correct.
Okay. And so I want to hear more about the sneakers in a sec, but I want to go back. You were talking about India, you were talking about New Zealand. Take me back to the very start.
Okay, so I was born and raised in India, and I left India when I was 17 after my high school.
Okay.
Decided to go to New Zealand and study there. So I was working for the convenience store, delivering newspapers, and also cleaning commercial properties.
Geez, so you're doing a little bit of everything.
Correct.
On top of the school.
Correct, because I had to pay rent, I had to pay for the food, and also for the transportation cost.
And so how much were you making at that point, a month?
At convenience store, I was making $5 an hour, which was like 2 days a week. So $100 there, 10 hours per day, $100 there, which was covering the rent. I was delivering newspaper, which was making me $150 a week. And I was doing cleaning, which was again 20 hours, which was making like $7 an hour, so $140. So I was, on average, I would say I was making like $1,200 to $1,300 a month.
Wow, that's it.
That's it.
Okay. How did you get through that? I mean, cleaning, school, it sounds like pretty boring work.
Yes, but again, I had nothing to fall back on, so I had to just keep pushing.
What was the motivation? Like, what was the end goal?
The end goal was to finish my studies, business management, and then just get a full-time job, which I did get after a couple of years. I was working for Crossmark, which is like a marketing, sales, and retail company. So I was working there as a field support coordinator, and also then I got promoted like to field support manager.
Okay.
When I left.
Okay, cool. I want to hear more about your story from New Zealand to the U.S. then. But real quick, let's talk about some of these shoes here. What's some of the best-selling shoes you have in the store?
The best sellers are Jordan 4, the category Jordan 4. They sell really well at the store, and brand new Air Force 1.
Got it. What colorways here?
This right here, and also this right here. This is the fresh release.
Got it. Yeah, it's a new pair. Those just came out today.
Yeah, and Bread 4s, which I don't have in stock right now because they're just hard to keep on the shelf.
Yeah, got it. And so what's your margin on something like a Thunder 4?
So with shoes, I try to go more like a dollar value. So I try to put like $25 on $100.
Okay, so 20%.
Correct.
Yeah, and you mentioned you were selling 200 pieces of clothing every month. How many pairs of sneakers are you selling?
50 to 60.
50 to 60, that's it. So really the clothing is really carrying the bulk.
Correct.
How much does it cost to run a store like this?
$12,000 a month.
That's all your overhead. So
Correct.
Rent, employees, break that down for me.
Correct. So I have $5,000 worth of rent. I have utilities, which is like $500 to $600, and I have payroll.
You have a second location, right?
Correct.
How much is overhead over there?
13,000.
So $25,000 a month.
Correct.
In overhead. That's a lot of money to be responsible for every month.
Yes.
Does that stress ever get you?
Not every day, but end of the month, yes. Start of the month, yes.
Yeah.
Because you have to have that habit of not buying constantly at that time of the month, you know.
Yeah. How do you deal with that stress? How do you manage that?
To be honest, so weekends is where we make the money, and most of the time the month ends in the weekend, and also we do decent amount of business to start of the month, and it dies down at the end of the month. So you just
Why is that?
People run out of money.
Yeah.
You know, people be spending money recklessly.
Got it. They get paid at the first of the month and then they spend it by the end.
Correct.
Got it. Okay, so it's just about being smart with the money that you make at the start.
Correct. You gotta be smart.
Okay. And the other location that you have, is it the similar sales numbers, $60,000, $65,000?
No, that's actually less, but the profit margins are a little higher because of being in the mall.
Okay. So how much are you doing in sales at that location?
At that, 40 to 45 a month.
Okay. And at what margin?
At 35 to 40.
You're making right around what you're spending.
Correct. Some months we don't even make enough to even. When we run deals, like we did March Madness, we were losing money.
You were
but it
losing
also,
money.
yeah.
Okay, so I definitely want to hear more about that in a sec. I'm curious how you're still able to run that operation. Before we do that, tell me more about coming to the U.S. from New Zealand. What was that like?
It was a life-changing opportunity for me. because I've heard a lot of good stories that people have come to the United States and changed their life in the first 5 years. And I think it's true. Why? Because you can stay dedicated, committed, and motivated to your end goal. Just like how I came into the United States with the mindset of having something for myself. From working to the liquor store for the first 2 years, I saved up some money and I started reselling sneakers, and look at me today. I have 2 stores.
So how much did you come to the US with?
$2,300 to my name.
That's it?
That's it.
And you were able to build all of this?
Correct.
How do you do that?
I was working 7 days a week. So 70 hours a week at the liquor store every week, and all the money I was getting paid, I was just putting it away, paying all the little bills here and there, and the rest of the money was just saved up. So I saved up almost like $30,000 to $40,000 for the first 2 years, invested $10,000 in the sneakers, and kept reinvesting whatever I made back in the business until I grew out of the space I had behind the liquor store, because the sneakers were hot cake. Everything they dropped was selling crazy, because during COVID, everybody was getting paid $600 for free, regardless whether they were working or not. They got the stimulus check, all that, so they were buying sneakers left and right. I saved up and I opened the first store because I outgrew the space I had behind the liquor store. Owner of the plaza was around, and I was like, you know what? I want to see if I can lease the store in the same plaza. He's like, oh, it's been leased out, whatever that is. They were trying to get us hair salon in here. But of course, something must have happened. She fell off, and I decided to take it over. Rest of the story, you know?
All right, Bonnie, so you mentioned running the sneaker store is not as glamorous as it sounds. Tell me more about that.
Also, there's a lot of overheads.
And so you mentioned the North Shore Mall. That one's losing money.
Correct. Okay.
So how much money have you lost just at North Shore?
I have lost $20,000 at my other sneaker store location.
Wow.
Yes.
You think sometimes store owners and resellers get too stuck on the good months and they assume it's always going to be like that?
Correct. As you have noticed, there has been a drastic change in reselling industry. Sneakers are not doing as well they used to back in 2021 and 2022.
So even with the market being down and so many stores closing, how are you able to stay motivated and stay open?
Because this is what I love to do, and I have that connections where I can still afford to invest money and still make sure the customer buys what they need on a daily basis.
What tips would you give to someone who wants to go and open a sneaker store?
Make sure you have enough capital. Don't just go ahead and open a sneaker store because you wake up one day and you feel like you want to open a sneaker store.
That's kind of why I wanted to open a store.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I've been to so many sneaker events, and all these guys are like, oh, hey, I want to open a sneaker store. What should I do? Should I open or not? And I tell them, no, don't open a sneaker store. If you are doing good with numbers from home, continue doing that.
How much were you doing actually before opening the store?
I was doing actually better than what I'm doing at store.
You're doing
right
better?
now. Yes, right now.
Jeez.
With this period. I'm talking about this month,
Yeah,
last
yeah.
month, and past 3 months.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, yeah, you were reselling during COVID, so.
Correct. So I used to do like almost like $40,000 to $50,000 every month without any overhead.
No store, just out of
No overhead. Yeah.
That's the best, no?
Yeah, I know. And I wish I continued doing that.
Yeah, so do you regret opening the stores?
I don't regret, but at the same time, I think I jumped the gun really quickly, too fast. If I had a little bit more time, I would have saved up at least a lot more money to open a better sneaker store. You know what I mean?
You got to 2 within the first year, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Do you think the second one was rushed, or do you think both you would have waited?
I think the second one was rushed, because I was making so good money that I thought that I will continue doing that if I opened the second store. But what happened? The sneaker market went down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Do you think the market's going to pick back up, or do you think this is just...
I mean, everything which goes down has to go up. So I think this is the worst of the sneaker reselling, but from here it's only going to be up.
So do you think reselling is a forever business?
Yes and no. If you create a brand for yourself, you can carry on doing that, and that's what my end goal is, to create myself a brand, which was going to be more like an essential for my business. But at the same time, my end goal is real estate, buying properties.
So you still want the store forever?
Yes.
But just you want to get into other businesses afterwards?
Correct.
And are you using this to fund the other businesses, or how are you
Yes,
paying for them?
I'm using this as a stepping stone.
At what point is it all enough?
Hey, 100,000 a month is enough. You know, that's the end goal. So I can provide everything for my family. You know, I don't come from a rich family. I come from a family who was sleeping on the floor and now sleeping on the bed. That's an achievement for me. And I want to keep going. I never want to struggle again in life.